Welcome to the President's Diary, where we take a look at His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali's week of activities. President Ali informed a gathering of Tushaus from Region 9 that his government will ensure that Amerindians are economically empowered and are integrally involved in the national decision-making process. The President made these remarks during his feature address on Day 2 of the recently hosted Regional Tushaus meeting, which saw the attendance of leaders from over 50 communities from the region's 5 sub-districts.
My government is committed to strengthening our inclusion in national decision-making. We will engage with you continuously and do so in a genuine spirit of inclusion. We will foster Amerindian economic empowerment across all 10 of the country's administrative regions. We will continue to support your rights, including your just entitlement to Amerindian lands.
The head of state stressed that over the past year, the government has been proactively promoting indigenous development. He reminded the Tushaus that the national budget is allocated in excess of $5.4 billion that will be injected into the development of Amerindian and hinterland communities. President Ali noted that there will be improvements to social services, health facilities, and ICT services to ensure that Amerindian communities can experience the same way of life as those living on the coast. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces on Monday recommitted to improving the Guyana Police Force while charging its members to do their best in managing the assets allotted to them. President Ali made the remarks before handing over a fleet of 50 new double-cab pickup trucks to the GPF at the Police Sports Club ground, Ivleri.
My government is honoring its pledge to improve your capabilities and conditions of service. We are providing the Guyana Police Force with the tools that it needs to improve local policing.
The President warned officers about using the vehicles recklessly. He said when the government assumed office, out of 140 vehicles donated by China, only 39 were working, while 101 were down for repairs, some of which were unserviceable. President Ali emphasized that this cannot continue and frowned on the use of police vehicles for joyrides.
I want to be frank with you. We support the work of the police force and will provide it with the resources needed. But the force needs to take better care of its transportation equipment. The provision of resources must be accompanied by greater responsibility in their use and care. The assets being provided to the force are to boost its capability, its responsiveness, and people will judge us by the way in which we care for and use these assets.
President Ali on Tuesday said there are no roadblocks preventing African nations and members of CARICOM from initiating greater socio-economic collaboration. The head of state made these remarks at State House during the virtual Historic Africa CARICOM Summit, which was attended by heads of state from CARICOM in Africa and members from regional and international organizations. The President added that the inaugural meeting should be used as an opportunity to forge greater partnerships, especially in areas like climate change and food security. The President added that the pandemic is highlighting the disparity between the developed and the developing world.
I'm therefore of the view that this forged collaboration must address the COVID-19 pandemic and recovery, climate change mitigation and adaptation measures, food security, and costs of commodities and transportation. COVID-19 pandemic and recovery requires from us urgent action. In relation to the pandemic, we must have a forceful message on issues relating to rescheduling of loans, debt financing, access to capital in our rebuilding efforts, and an evaluation of the global vaccination system, along with its failure to respond to the most vulnerable in the world.
He said moving forward, a forged collaboration between the two regions should address the COVID-19 pandemic and recovery, climate change mitigation and adaptation measures, food security, and the cost of commodities and transportation.
We have not been historically responsible, but we suffer the greatest and are least equipped to respond. Our countries are bearing the brunt of increasing and more intense climate-related events. We must, therefore, collectively advocate for greater financial flows to help us adapt to the impacts of the climate emergency, including through the establishment of a global vulnerability fund. The largest polluters in developed countries, which have already achieved economic diversification by transferring much of their natural assets into commercial activities, carry a greater responsibility in this respect.
On Wednesday, His Excellency facilitated a virtual meeting with members of the National Commission on Disability, where he reassured them of his government's proactive agenda, which will enhance the welfare and living conditions of persons with disabilities in Guyana. The head of state said the government has engaged the private sector to help facilitate employment for persons with disabilities. He emphasized that technological advancement has made it easier for persons with disabilities to be able to work in certain industries, such as the business processing outsourcing industry, since work can be done from home. President Ali also noted that the government is engaging the banking sector to help facilitate home ownership for persons living with disabilities. The president added that the government is working on moving a number of its services to an online ICT platform. High on the agenda is an effective 911 system and the development of an online government query system. These systems will be designed to create working opportunities for persons living with disabilities. On Friday, His Excellency and a team of ministers and government officials traveled to Region 2 for a cabinet outreach. While there, the head of state hosted meetings with farmers at the Guyana Rice Producers Association Bond. President Ali also met with residents of Supernam and neighboring communities at the Supernam Stelling, where a strategic plan was devised to assist farmers and other residents.
And we have a responsibility on this earth to account to the people who entrust their future, who entrust their hope for a better life in our hands as leaders of this country. It is of extreme importance that we listen to you, listen to your views, listen to your understanding of the issues. I have an ethical responsibility to ensure that I work and present these opportunities, because like many of you, I believe that we have to be accountable for whatever we do.
Also on Friday, President Ali turned the sod for a new $2 billion multi-specialty hospital at Saudi Region 2. The president said the new hospital will form part of the PPPC government's wider agenda of revolutionizing the quality of healthcare in Guyana.
Here today, we are part of a process that will see not only a new building, but 250 plus beds here in Region 2. It will see an ICU, a complete ICU in this hospital here in Region 2. This is an investment of more than $2 billion. And we are very, very confident that this would add great value to the healthcare system here in Region 2.
Meanwhile, on Saturday, His Excellency and members of his cabinet were engaged by influential women and youth of Region 2 in a meeting at the Regional Democratic Council, Anna Regina. The president said it was a meeting for various stakeholders to relate their issues, including those of a familial, social, moral, and ethical nature. This has been the President's Diary, where we took a look at His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali's week of activities. Thank you for watching. Join us again next week.